Hey there, and welcome to episode 3 of the Timespent show with your host, Sam Marks. And here we are on the overhead. So we're going to be using a piece of plywood that has already been coated with priming paint, the one that I was working on last week on the side. So I started with some red in the bottom right-hand corner and then yellow in the top right-hand corner. Just going to spread those guys out. I added a little bit of fluorescent pink to that left-hand side and then a little bit more. And this week we're just using acrylic that's mixed with water, and we're going to see how that works instead of acrylic latex. Now we're going to watch some paint drying, and I want to direct your attention to the bottom center of the screen. Honestly, really cool to watch that pink kind of branch out into a little bit of a tree shape. 8 hours later. And this is 8 hours later. And in my haste, or impatience, I guess you could say, I really just wanted to get to drawing, and so I hooked up a hairdryer that I borrowed, and I plugged it in on the highest heat. I left the room and let it do its thing, and it caused some cracking that looks like somewhat of a topographical map. And there's the culprit, or the culprit that I'm blaming, but really it was my fault. It was user error for sure, but I was really excited to get to the drawing, so I kind of jumped the gun, and we're just going to roll with it. And we're going to roll with it into the grid section. So this is a 2-point perspective grid, and that first vanishing point is that left-hand screw that was slowly highlighted. If you want to go back and look at where that vanishing point is, feel free. But you can see me filling in the grid for that first vanishing point, and I'm going to pause the video right about here, and I'm going to show you that second vanishing point in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. And that's where that second vanishing point is, filling in the rest of that grid using that vanishing point. Just about done here, and here we are in the Ink Timelapse. My favorite part of this whole process, kind of my favorite part of the videos. I feel like at some point I should stop saying that it's my favorite part, but as is the tradition of this show, or at least the 2-video tradition, I'm going to let everybody take a breath, including myself. Get a little bit of that zoom in action as you're breathing. Kind of played around with zooming in. And this is not a breath, this is me continuing to talk. So here's me actually taking a breath. Catch you on the flip-flop. I'm sorry for blocking the view, just for these, I think it's 10 seconds of me blocking the view, but yeah, I'm sorry about that. And here we are, back to your regularly scheduled program. And coming up here is me inking in one of these boxes in the grid in real time. Someone very close to me, actually my dad, told me that it would be cool to see at least one of the boxes each video inked in real time, just so that you can get a sense of how long one of these boxes takes to fill in. as fun as time-lapse time is, it's important to understand how much of the real time is being spent. So here's the real time, and we're about to be done, and then we're going to get back into the time-lapse until the end of the piece. Right about now, I'm going to stop talking again in 3, 2, 1. And that was me finishing the grid, and I'm moving on to outlining the entire shape. And at the very beginning, I smudged it a little bit. You could see me fixing it with a paper towel. But yeah, here I am. I'm filling in the whole of the outline with the same ink that I used for filling in the grid. We're almost done with the outline, working from left to right. You can see me smudge a little bit more, fixing it with a paper towel. Still moving. Nice. Okay. Now we're going to move on to filling in the grid one more time on top of the ink with ink, the same ink that we used to outline and the same ink that we used to fill in the grid both horizontally and vertically. So I'm working from the right side of the screen to the left, from the bottom to the top, just working on the first vanishing point that I showed you. So all these lines connect to that screw in the upper left-hand portion of the screen. Almost done filling in those lines of the grid for the first vanishing point, about to move on to the second vanishing point. And here we go, working from the right and the bottom kind of to the top and the left. Yep, that second vanishing point is below the first one. It's also on the left-hand portion of the screen. If you want to go back and check where either of those vanishing points are, I left the timestamps in the description. Still moving. I'm going to mess up here, I think 3 or 4 times in quick succession. And it's okay to mess up. It's kind of part of the fun, is cleaning up my mistakes. Got to embrace the smudges. And we're almost done here. More smudges at the very end, and now it's awkward outro time. So there you have it. Another week, another video, another awkward outro time, and another piece of beautiful art. I'm sorry about the glare and the lighting. I'm figuring out these videos very slowly, but the thing that is always messing with me is lighting, and I committed to having a backlit intro and outro, so I kind of have to stick it out for continuity's sake. Thanks for following along and sticking it out to the end. I know it was a little bit of a longer video this time. That's because this is the largest piece that I've done on the Timespent show. I think the time lapse for the ink for this one was longer than the entirety of episode 2, so I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, keep it real, keep drawing, and catch you on the flip-flop. Bam. Bam. Alright, I think you're done. I think it's done. I think we're done. Peace.